In psychology, trait theory is an approach to the study of human personality. Trait theorists are primarily interested in the measurement of traits, which can be defined as habitual patterns of behavior, thought, and emotion. According to this perspective, traits are relatively stable over time, differ across individuals, and influence behavior. Traits are in contrast to states, which are more transitory dispositions. In some theories and systems, traits are something a person either has or does not have, but in many others traits are dimensions such as extraversion versus introversion, with each person rating somewhere along this spectrum. History. Gordon Allport was an early pioneer in the study of traits, which he also referred to as dispositions. In his approach, cardinal traits are those that dominate and shape a person's behavior, the ruling passions, obsessions, such as a need for money, fame, etc. By contrast, central traits such as honesty are characteristics found in some degree in every person, and finally, secondary traits are those seen only in certain circumstances, which are included to provide a complete picture of human complexity. A wide variety of alternative theories and scales were later developed, including Raymond Cattell's 1-6-PF questionnaire, J.P. Guilford's structure of intellect, Henry Murray's system of needs, Timothy Leary's interpersonal circumplex, Myers-Briggs type indicator, Gray's biopsychological theory of personality. Currently, two general approaches are the most popular: Eysenck personality questionnaire. Using factor analysis, Hans Eysenck suggested that personality is reducible to three major traits: neuroticism, extraversion, and psychoticism. Big Five personality traits. Many psychologists currently believe that 5 factors are sufficient: neuroticism, extraversion, openness to experience, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. Comparing EPQ and Big Five, testing methodology, and factors. Both the EPQ and Big Five approaches extensively use self-report questionnaires. The factors are intended to be orthogonal, though there are often small positive correlations between factors. The 5-factor model in particular has been criticized for losing the orthogonal structure between factors. Hans Eysenck has argued that fewer factors are superior to a larger number of partly related ones. Although these two approaches are comparable because of the use of factor analysis to construct hierarchical taxonomies, they differ in the organization and number of factors. Whatever the causes, however, psychoticism marks the two approaches apart, as the 5-factor model contains no such trait. Moreover, psychoticism, unlike any of the other factors in either approach, does not fit a normal distribution curve. Indeed, scores are rarely high, thus skewing a normal distribution. However, when they are high, there is considerable overlap with psychiatric conditions such as antisocial and schizoid personality disorders. Similarly, high scorers on neuroticism are more susceptible to sleep and psychosomatic disorders. 5-factor approaches can also predict future mental disorders. Lower-order factors. There are 2 higher-order factors that both taxonomies clearly share: extraversion and neuroticism. Both approaches broadly accept that extraversion is associated with sociability and positive affect, whereas neuroticism is associated with emotional instability and negative affect. Many lower-order factors, or facets, are similar between the two taxonomies. For instance, both approaches contain factors for sociability, gregariousness, for activity levels, and for assertiveness within the higher-order factor extraversion. However, there are differences too. First, the three-factor approach contains 9 lower-order factors and the five-factor approach has 6. Eysenk's psychoticism factor incorporates some of the polar opposites of the lower-order factors of openness, agreeableness and conscientiousness. A high scorer on tough-mindedness in psychoticism would score low on tender-mindedness and agreeableness. Most of the differences between the taxonomies stem from the three-factor model's emphasis on fewer high-order factors. Causality. Although both major trait models are descriptive, only the three-factor model offers a detailed causal explanation. Eysenck suggests that different personality traits are caused by the properties of the brain, which themselves are the result of genetic factors. In particular, the three-factor model identifies the reticular system and the limbic system in the brain as key components that mediate cortical arousal and emotional responses respectively. Eysenck advocates that extroverts have low levels of cortical arousal and introverts have high levels, leading extroverts to seek out more stimulation from socializing and being venturesome. Moreover, Eysenck surmised that there would be an optimal level of arousal, after which inhibition would occur, and that this would be different for each person. In a similar vein, the three-factor approach theorizes that neuroticism is mediated by levels of arousal in the limbic system and that individual differences arise because of variable activation thresholds between people. Therefore, highly neurotic people, when presented with minor stressor, will exceed this threshold, whereas people low in neuroticism will not exceed normal activation levels, even when presented with large stressor. By contrast, proponents of the five-factor approach assume a role of genetics and environment but offer no explicit causal explanation. Given this emphasis on biology in the three-factor approach, it would be expected that the third trait, psychoticism, would have a similar explanation. However, the causal properties of this state are not well defined. Eysenck has suggested that psychoticism is related to testosterone levels and is an inverse function of the serotonergic system, but he later revised this, linking it instead to the dopaminergic system. List of personality traits.